And what I thought was super fascinating is here we are in this predicament for Team USA. And the three greatest players of this era, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, were the three guys for Team USA that stepped up and got it done. Steph, in the early portion of the game in particular, when Serbia was red hot and hitting everything, Steph was red hot too. And he kept USA close enough for them to remain in that striking distance so they could give themselves a chance to come back and make it a game. And then late in the game, off of a monster screen from Joel Embiid, a huge play from him there, Steph breaks three on the left wing and knocks down the lead-changing shot to put Team USA up one, and then a big-time transition layup from him too, a couple of clutch free throws. Steph Curry, who's had a nightmare time with Team USA, who I think his value is understated because even though he's not making shots or hasn't been making shots, he's still been one of their primary player movement pieces that's kind of maintained spacing. I think there's a lot of value that comes from that. Again, even though Steph hasn't been making shots, he's been guarded like he's Steph Curry, which carries a great deal of value. But as we were hoping, eventually Steph would break out, and he broke out in a huge way tonight. 34 points, made a bunch of huge plays, had a huge steal late too. Just tip of the cap to Steph Curry. That was a legendary performance from him. LeBron James, a triple-double. I think he had 16 points, if I remember correctly, 10 assists to just 2 turnovers, 12 rebounds, was battling Nikola Jokic in that fourth quarter, fronting the post, absorbing the blows that allowed Joel Embiid to kind of be in that back line ready to help behind him. He got a huge stop on Jokic in a one-on-one situation along the right side where he forced Jokic into a tough one-leg fadeaway and got a stop. Bunch of big situations where he was battling with Jokic, like situations where LeBron knew he wasn't even going to get the ball. But he just was like, I'm putting everything I have into this jump to just get a piece of it so that someone else might. His only job was to make sure Jokic didn't get the basketball. That is a tough job. And then on top of that, to dig deep for 2 massive transition drives. The one with where KD was in with him in transition. He finished with his right hand on the left side of the basket. Look at how explosive he was off of that left knee on that play. You could tell he poured everything he had into that play. And it kind of reminds me of other moments in LeBron's career where it's when push comes to shove, LeBron knows that he can just get that athleticism to engage in a way that makes him truly unstoppable in these short bursts, even at his old age. I thought that was an incredible LeBron James performance. And then Kevin Durant, who had a rough first 3 quarters and was struggling to knock down shots, hit several huge jump shots late. Steph and LeBron were tired. They desperately needed someone to create a bucket. And there it was, up 2. Late clock situation. If you don't score there, Serbia has a chance to go down to tie or take the lead. And it's you either leave Jokic on an island and he ties the game, or you double team and you give up a 3-point shot to one of these guys that's been hitting. And KD hits a nasty left to right crossover dribble and gets to that one dribble pull up off that right wing and effectively ices the game for Team USA. I tweeted after the game about how that was just such a cool moment for me as a fan. And one of my buddies, Tommy, ended up quote tweeting it and said something that I thought was interesting. He said, one of the last legitimately legacy defining moments for all 3 of these guys, and they came through. And it's true. I don't think everybody's worried about what Steph can accomplish with that limited Warriors roster, what LeBron can accomplish at 40 years old with a Lakers team that's super incompetent and doesn't have another player other than AD that can play both ends of the floor. I don't think anybody really cares too much about that. KD post Achilles, I think people know what KD is and what he's capable of. But here in this setting, with this roster against a Serbian team that doesn't have as much talent, this was a true high-pressure, legacy-defining moment for all 3 of these guys, and all 3 of them came through in a huge way. And as a basketball fan, I was that was just a really cool moment. And I guys, we're not going to get very many moments like that as basketball fans in our lives. And I'm just, it was one of those days where I'm thankful to get to do what I do for a living so that we can come on here and talk about it. It was just a ton of fun. Shout out to those 3 guys. I literally can't say enough about those 3 just in that situation. There's so much part. They were down 15, I think, in the fourth quarter. Steve Kerr, the starters came in to start the second half, and they were playing some really good basketball, and they got it to like 7, I think, in the mid third. And then Kerr went to an all bench group to end the third quarter, and Serbia immediately ballooned the lead back up. And by the time the starters came back in, they were in a deep hole. And you got to imagine that going out there. You're walking out onto the floor. Steph Curry, LeBron James, you guys have the reputation as being the best American players of this era. And all of it is on the line. In a small sample with a huge deficit, you have to play damn near perfect basketball to close that game out. And they did. Well, I can't say enough about those guys. And I can't wait to get more and more into this when I have some more time and I'm not running out the door to get to a flight. But one other USA player I wanted to shout out before we move on, Joel Embiid. It was 19 points on 11 shots. It was kind of a frustrating experience for me as a basketball fan rooting so hard in this game because like Embiid got so many huge buckets in the fourth quarter, but he also gave up 4 offensive rebounds where he was just getting beat to the ball by that slower center. I can't remember his name, the other center that was playing with Jokic. And I was like, it was like, I'd be like, grab the fucking basketball. And then like 5 seconds later, he hit a huge shot. And I'd be like, damn, that's a huge shot. Then he'd give it up again. I'd be like, what are you doing? And then he'd go down to the other end. He hit a huge shot. It was like just an incredible roller coaster as a fan rooting for Joel Embiid in that moment. But I thought that was Joel Embiid's first like huge moment for Team USA. And I will always remember when we think back to the 2024 Olympic Team USA basketball team, I will always think back to the fact that Joel Embiid, after really struggling through the exhibition games and through the pool play games, and even a little bit in that first round game against Brazil, he although he hits a bunch of threes in that game, but he's been struggling defensively. He's been struggling in a bunch of like specific details. And all I can remember now looking back is like when the shit hit the fan and they needed somebody to step up and a bunch of guys on that team couldn't. Joel Embiid was one of the guys who did. And I thought that was a huge winning moment for him. I'd like to see him tighten up some of those details. He needs to come down with some of those loose balls. And those are the little details that'll be the next step that Joel takes to win the championship. If he wants to be an NBA champion, he's got to just bring that extra level of competitiveness, that extra level of conditioning, that extra level of just savage competitiveness to get it done. And I think he's going to get there. I think it's only a matter of time. But that was just a really cool moment for him too, and I'll always remember his contributions in that particular game. Shout out to Team USA. Shout out to Serbia. Really cool moment.